Da, e, fa, ga, i, ha, I, ja, ka, la.
It was as a result of the human struggle for survival and enlightenment that education had to develop some thousands of years ago. Since then, it has continued to grow and spread both in quality and area of coverage all around the world. In spite of the efforts that are being made, however, there still remains a great deal to be done. A recent study shows there are still a significant percentage of school-aged children who have no access to formal education. Despite the fact that the federal government spends 15% of the national budget on education, dropout rates from primary schools are more than 25%. So in terms of education in Ethiopia, the challenges are enormous. The problem especially gets worse in the rural parts of the country. Children in these areas are less likely to go to school than children in urban areas. This is because most rural families cannot afford to send their children to school because parents believe that while children are in school, they cannot contribute to the household chores and income. Besides, because of the lack of the social awareness concerning the importance of education, most people in Ethiopia feel that work is more important. So, children start to work at a very early age with little or no education. Even when they are determined enough to go to school, the task would not be an easy one, for there are no schools for them in the nearby area. Furthermore, since supplies are so rare and education is not available to everyone, children often become frustrated and drop out. According to the Warada Education Bureau,
አጠቃላይ ከተመዘገቡ ተማሪዎች ውስጥ ወደ 6752 የሚሆኑ ተማሪዎች አቋርጠዋል።
In the academic year 2003-2004, out of the total number of students enrolled in primary schools in the area, 6,752 students were forced to drop out. This is mainly due to the long distance students have to walk every day to and from the schools. Another problem contributing to the dropout is the poor facility the schools have.
Therefore, it has always been the case that in Ethiopia, children who receive education are lucky and privileged. It was in response to this fatal problem that Africa Development Aid Association, in cooperation with other stakeholders, came up with the idea of promoting non-formal basic education with the aim to help the government's vision of universal schooling, acknowledging the importance of education, learning and training which takes place outside the formal institutions. Non-formal education could be defined as an organized educational activity outside the established formal system, whether operating separately or as an important feature of some broader activity that is intended to serve students and meet certain objectives. It's different from the formal one in many aspects. One important characteristic feature of non-formal education is that it gives attention to the needs of disadvantaged groups and it focuses on clearly defined purposes. Besides, unlike formal education, which is linked with schools and training institutions, non-formal education is linked with community groups and other organizations. It is also accessible, flexible both in organization and methods, learner-centered, and resource-saving. Since its conception in the late 1960s and early 1970s, non-formal education is continually gaining acceptance in different parts of the world for the various merits it has. Taking this into account, and with the hope to alleviate the problems in the area of education, African Development Aid Association, ADA, which is a local charitable organization, has started to implement the concept of non-formal education in some selected parts of the country. Non-formal education was considered as a solution to most rural Ethiopian children since it allows them to go through the education at their own pace without preventing them from playing the roles they are expected in their family and society. That is, the students can arrange their school hours according to their own schedules. The program was designed in a way that students cover the curriculum of grades 1 to 4 within 3 years. That is, by the time the children finish their 3-year non-formal basic education program, they will be ready to join their regular 5th grade study at the formal school. To this end, ADA is principally working on creating awareness among the community concerning the need for education. As a result, many are responding positively. People are actively participating in the construction of education centres by supplying wood and labour, while ADA supplies construction materials such as nailed iron sheets that are not easily found in the area. ADA, in addition to creating and promoting awareness amongst the community and supplying construction materials, is engaged in assigning teachers for the centres. Due to ADA's consistent effort with the community, today many young children have access to education, and this has led to a tremendous change in the educational coverage of the area. Many of the students have even finished their 3-year non-formal study and joined 5th grade in government schools. The program is not and should not be content with just increasing the coverage. School teachers witness that the students with a non-formal study background are no less able than the other students. ADA, through its practical achievements, has succeeded in convincing the regional government bodies to reconsider their policy and support the project. Accordingly, the local government in Siraro Warada, East Shoa Zone, has agreed to fund ADA's immediate plan of building 20 centres. A government representative shared that
Yennanni kan socho'aa ture aadaan nuti dura rafaa turre. Waanuma inni hirmaate qofaaf waanuma naa kenna ganda naa kenna mana barumsaa ni ijaara lafa nuu kennisiisaa jedhe kanuma gandumatti qajeelchineet.
Looking back, I would say that we were totally passive to ADA's initiatives. When, for example, they asked us to give them a piece of land to establish a non-formal education center, all we did was to send them to the Kabale's officials. Through time, however, as we continued to see their effort and how they managed to change the people's attitude towards education, we were convicted that we had to stand beside them.
the agreement is that out of the total cost of the project, estimated to be 2.13 million birr, 22% to be covered by the local Warada administration, 30% by the community, and the remaining 48% by ADA. Another agreement to fund additional 10 centres is also in progress. Encouraged by its past achievements and the support it is receiving from the government, ADA has planned to establish 162 more centres in the next 5 years. ADA, in collaboration with other NGOs, has succeeded in establishing a network of non-formal educational centres among different districts of Oromia Regional State. It is unquestionable that the efficiency and survival of any system depends on how well it responds to the imperatives of change. If the formal system fails to meet the educational needs of our society, then why not introduce the non-formal system to exist alongside, thus enabling children to fit into whichever best suits their circumstances? In fact, many argue that dividing formal education and so-called non-formal education is artificial in many ways. They say that this division reflects the gulf between government provision through the school system on the one hand and the needs and interests of the marginal populations who are most alienated from the system on the other. The agreement signed between ADA and the local government, however, shows the goodwill to bridge this gulf and impact the life of many through education.